If you've ended up on this video, there's a good chance you've probably heard of Dr. Michael Mosley, who is best known perhaps for writing the Fast Diet book, which is really good actually. It's well worth reading. The science is interesting. And more recently, he wrote the Fast 800. Now, I have to admit, I could definitely do to lose some weight, and I've tried the Fast Diet before and it worked really well for me. For whatever reason, I didn't stick with it, but it did work well. So I'm going to reintroduce myself to it, but I'm going to go in and take the plunge with this first, the Fast 800. So I'm going to take you on that journey, but first, let's have a look at the intro. Okay, so it's probably best that I start by setting the scene, give you some context. So I'm 46 years old, and while I've never been particularly big, fat and heavy especially, according to my Withings Smart Scales, I'm also obese. I said I'm 14.5 stone, and I weighed in this morning at 14 stone, 7.4 pounds, with a fat mass of 30.2%, which petrifies me when I see it. Here's a photograph I've taken of myself today, and I've got to be honest, I don't look at that and see that nearly a third of me is fat. But that concerns me more, because you've got two types of fat. You've got the stuff you can see and you've got the visceral fat. So the stuff you can see, I don't think is too horrific. But if I have 30% body fat, then the rest is the bits I can't see, which means it's inside my rib cage and around my vital organs, which is a worry, because that tends to be where you have blood circulation issues, and you know, that can lead to all sorts of things that I'm not going to go into. So I've always been around about that weight, to be fair, and I've always been quite conscious of things I can do about it. So I've done loads of reading over the years. I've read lots of books about improving your physique. So, you know, fantastic book, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's the Bible if you're interested in bodybuilding. Clearly I'm not. I always wanted to, and you know, I buy some of the gear and never actually do anything with it, like so many people. That one's really interesting actually. Even if you're not into working out, that's really good just to understand your physiology. I'd suggest that people take the time to read that. I'll put a link in the comment below. And then I started reading dieting books, and I've read loads. There was a great book called Body for Life, which I can't find, it's in the house somewhere, which is about exercising and diet, and it's really simple but really, really good. I read the big ones, so obviously Atkins, you'll have heard of that. It's interesting actually, I must admit the science behind it it's fairly logical. For people who don't know anything about it, the idea is that you don't eat carbohydrates. So your body needs three essential there's lots of nutrients in it, don't get me wrong, but if you look at the macros, the three core things your body needs, you've got protein, carbohydrates and fat, and they do various things, and I'm not going to go into that. There are better videos elsewhere on YouTube, but the idea with the Atkins diet is that you don't eat the carbohydrates, and that then triggers something called ketosis in your body, where your body starts to burn the fat cells you've already got, and instead of carbohydrate that's coming in externally, and so you get thinner. That's the logic. There's another one which I've not read the book on, but I've read lots online about, is the paleo diet, which is really interesting. And that's essentially, in a nutshell, eating like a caveman. If you can't kill it or grow it, then you don't eat it. So it's not about processed food. It's about recognizing that our human evolution, in the grand, if human evolution is a clock and it's 1 hour, when we look at modern life and what we eat, we're less than a minute. The other 59 minutes, we ate whole solid foods, and so our digestive systems struggle to cope perhaps with some of this processed food, which is arguably why we get so many intolerances and allergies these days, is because our bodies weren't made for the food, we're still evolving with it. But I said, again, really interesting, you should read up on that. But a couple of years ago, I discovered this book, and I've got to admit, the Fast Diet I think is really interesting, and the science behind it, and it's lots and lots of tests and lab trials and whatnot, which the book talks about, written by Dr. Michael Mosley and his wife. The logic is to put your body into a reparative mode so it starts repairing itself. So instead of just constantly feeding it, it's often called the 5-2 diet, and the idea is that on 5 days you eat healthily, don't get me wrong, stick to the average weight maintenance calorie intake. So for a man it's about 2,500, for a woman it's about 2,000. But on the 2 days a week you eat no more than 800 calories, which obviously is a big trim, and it puts your body into a calorie deficit, and then you lose weight. Because make no mistake, you can buy 1,000,000 books, but the simple rules of weight loss are burn more calories than you consume. It's that straightforward. How you dress it up is down to you. But that's the logic. So with the 5-2 diet, on those 2 days, you have the 800 calories. And the idea is you try and compact those 800 calories into a shorter period of time. So maybe between midday and 6 p.m. So coming from the previous day's eating right through to midday, you've not eaten, so you're fasting. And then your body goes into this reparative mode and it starts to fix itself, which it arguably doesn't, according to the science, if you constantly eat. It's really interesting. So take the time to read it. But then a couple of years later, Michael Mosley released this, the Fast 800. Now the logic in this is you got more trials with regards to the fast diet, so really interesting and said well worth reading. But it also talks about the 800, the Fast 800, which is where you essentially, instead of the 5-2, where you have 800 calories in the 2 days, you have 800 calories every day. Now obviously it's not sustainable for a super long time, but he suggests doing it for between a week and I think 12 weeks based on why you're doing it. So it could be a medical need. Maybe you've got an operation coming up, you need to lose weight quickly. Maybe you have a health risk. Maybe you're overweight to the point that diabetes is knocking on your door. Dangerous times, and you want to do something about it quickly. Then the idea is the Fast 800, where you try and maintain a balanced diet, ideally again probably in a shorter period of time, like midday to 6 p.m. And you should lose weight really quickly because your body is still going to burn on average about 2,500 calories per day if you're a man, 2,000 if you're a woman, but because you're only consuming 800, the difference will come from your fat cells. All good so far. So I'm going to give it a go because I'm pretty consistent in my weight, and so it's occurred to me that if I can just lower where that consistency is, then hopefully that I can maintain it in the same way. I suspect that's probably not the case. There's probably some study somewhere that says actually there's probably some optimum lazy weight and it's dead easy to maintain that, and actually a healthy weight is much harder to maintain. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. So today is Sunday the 23rd of January 2022. So as of tomorrow, I'm going to do 14 days of drinking nothing but water and probably tea with a splash of milk and nothing else. No alcohol, although to be fair, I've actually done a dry January apart from January the 2nd, out for Johnny's 40th. Actually I've really liked it. I've not missed it at all, which is really strange because I drank a lot over Christmas, so I was fairly comfortable with a constant flow of beer and whatnot, and it's been nice to take that break. It's been kind of cool being able to drive places as well, actually. Still do social things, but realise that actually I don't need to be drinking to have fun with friends, which has been kind of reassuring in a roundabout kind of way. So going into this diet now, I'm already used to not drinking. What I am going to do, I should emphasise this, is I'm going to consume 800 calories net per day, because we've just bought a rowing machine, which I'm super excited about because I really like rowing. So it's this rowing machine. This is the Row Erg from Concept 2, which we bought from Argos of all places. I'll put a link down below if you're interested in one. Brilliant piece of kit. It's the one that seems to be in 90% of gyms in the UK, so it should be pretty durable, and having a go so far and I really like it. Maybe do a review of that some other time, but again I think there's lots online. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to be doing things like rowing. I still like riding my bike. I still got to walk the dog, so I'm going to make sure I consume a net calorie content of 800 per day. So that means, for example, if I go rowing and I burn say 300 calories, then that day, and my smartwatch, I'm not wearing it at the minute, but my smartwatch will record that, I will make sure that whatever calories I burn on exercise, I will consume those extra calories. So if I burn 300 calories, then I'll consume 1,100 calories that day. 300 will go towards the exercise, and the 800 left is running me. So therefore that deficit is maintained. Because I think if I exercised and stuck to 800 without consuming the extra calories, I probably wouldn't make the 2 weeks. Okay, I'm going to log off now, and then I will check in throughout the 2 weeks. And by the time you see this video, I'll have finished the 2 weeks. And then the conclusion will be at the end of this bit. All right, thanks so much. Take care. Good morning. Right, it is day 5, so I thought I'd do a quick check-in. So far, so good, to be honest. It's actually, you'd think 800 calories would be really hard work, but it's actually been okay. I'm starting my day with one of these, so this kind of protein milkshake, just under 200 calories. And it's actually quite filling, I must admit. And there's tons and tons of protein in it, as the title may suggest, which is good because I learned this week when I was reading something else about the fast diet, because they're doing a fast diet. It turns out Michael Mosley's written a fast diet paleo book, I think it is. And I've been reading some of the excerpts of that were in the paper. And they were saying that basically your body has, obviously, an appetite, and so it craves food if it's not got enough. But it turns out if you eat more protein than anything else, it suppresses that overall appetite. So the likes of that shake seem to be working. So I'm not super hungry. I have gotten used to some quite plain meals, such as this. These are 2 of my lunches from this last week. And but the reason why they look like that, and it's these individual items, is because I'm recording absolutely everything I eat on the Under Armour app, which is, forgotten the name of, MyFitnessPal. So you can barcode scan everything you eat or just do a search. And so eating lots of individual items, which is what you can see on the plate, excuse me, is really easy to find the calorie content and the macro content of. So that's why they all look like that. Once I start mixing things, it becomes a bit more complicated. But yeah, turkey steaks have been my friend so far this week, and steamed veg. You can eat steamed veg basically until you just can't eat anything else, and the calorie content's next to nothing. Like mushrooms, love mushrooms, super low calories. So how's it affected me so far? Said energy-wise, I'm fine, no big deal at all actually. So at the start of this week, if you recall, well actually we'll recall, it was only about a second ago in the video for you, I think my weight was 14 stone 7 point something. So 5 days in, I'm down to 14 stone 2.8 pounds. So there's lots of weight coming off, which is great. I'm drinking loads of water. So part of me thinks actually a lot of that is water retention that I'm just not retaining anymore. But of course the aim is to try and drop the fat. That's why I'm doing this, and I said I'm only a third of the way through. And my body fat percentage on Monday, just looking at the Withings app, was 29.7%, and today it's 29.4%, which is, if I'm honest, a bit disappointing. For me to have lost nearly 5 pounds and only dropped my body fat percentage by a fraction of a percent. Said it's early days, only a third of the way in, but it's I would have hoped for more. That or these scales are just crap. Hopefully that's not the case. Otherwise, I'm measuring myself quite inaccurately. But yeah, I will check in around about day 10 and let you know how it's going there. I shaved as well, so you can see whether or not my face is getting any thinner. Not sure, I think it is, but yeah, it's so far so good. I'll keep you informed. See you in 5 days. Hello, so this is day 10. Weight loss has slowed down, I've got to be honest. It kind of went like that and then has steadied out. So it's still dropping daily, but not by much. But 800 calories, to be fair, it seemed like such a stretch back at the start. I said it's only 10 days ago. I know it's hardly life-changing, but it's actually, you get used to it. You just pace everything. 200 calories for breakfast generally, 200 calories for lunch, and maybe 400 for an evening meal. But I have been exercising, but it's funny because your mentality kind of changes on it. You stop thinking of it as simply just exercise to make you feel better. You're actually earning the right to eat, which is, I think that's probably quite healthy actually. So you know, today, for example, I had a fairly big breakfast and a fairly big lunch, so like 300 calories each. And so I then did a workout and burnt 400 calories, that allowed me to then have 600 calories for an evening meal and still have a net 800. And it's good. There's a sense of satisfaction that comes from that. But yeah, feeling good, sleeping good, probably sleeping better to be fair. And yeah, so far so good. So yeah, the next video, or the next part of the video, will be the final bit, and then I'll reveal the weight loss and the BMI elements and whatnot, and we'll yeah, see where we go from there. See you in the next bit. Bye. And so we are finished. Today is day 15, so my 2 weeks are over. This is Monday the 7th of February. So yeah, I made it. 800 calories a day was actually not that big a deal, I must admit. Initially it was quite a step change because I got into terrible habits with regards to how much I ate. But 800 calories, if you're smart and you choose your meals carefully, is actually quite doable. And if I'm honest, I've really quite enjoyed it. I've enjoyed changing, I think I mentioned on the day 10 bit, I've enjoyed the fact that I've changed the way I was treating food in relation to exercise. I was earning the right to eat treats by walking around the block, or taking the dog for a walk, or doing some rowing, or just walking on the spot while watching television. And it's been really, really good. I think I've probably actually learned to be a bit more creative with cooking as well. Just taking key ingredients that I can record on the food app, which I suddenly can't remember the name of again. I keep doing this, don't I? MyFitnessPal. So literally just getting a pattern, and throwing in maybe some really sliced celery and some sweet pepper and some chilies and some half tomatoes and a load of mushrooms and some prawns and a little bit of Thai curry sauce, which Aldi sell in little bottles, and it's a game changer. You can add it to anything, it just makes really tasty food. And just throwing the whole lot together with some cauliflower rice, which is literally just a case of getting the cauliflower, washing it, putting it into little bits and just blending it for a second, fry it up a tiny bit, and then serve it. And the calories compared to actual rice, it's like a sixth of the amount. It's amazing. But it's really good, providing you got nice sauce. But anyway, I digress. It's it's been really good learning how to cook a little differently. What challenges have I found? Social environments are quite tricky. Not the drinking thing. I'm actually still not really missing alcohol. You just end up drinking loads and loads and loads of Diet Coke. I know I said at the start I would just drink water and tea, but to be fair, there's hardly any calories in diet drinks, so I have been drinking those. There's probably all sorts of other things that aren't good for me, but calories were really low. So they were my tipple when we did anything sociable. But we had a social night on Saturday with a group of friends, and there was loads of crisps, and they smelt so good. And not eating them, I actually did eat some in the end and just had to record them on the MyFitnessPal, and thankfully I'd left enough calories that day to be able to have them. But those bits can be challenging, but you just change your habits. Thankfully my friends were supportive and they put sliced carrots and cucumbers out, and that was great. I could eat those instead. So the social element's been tough. The one other bit which I guess didn't occur to me, which no reason why it would, I suppose, even though I was drinking lots and lots of water, and I still am, is going to the toilet. I'm obviously going lots and lots of wheeze, lots of urinating, but in terms of when you're going to defecate, think plasticine that's been in the sun for a year. That's what you're trying to pass every time, and it's really hard work. Just being honest, that's the nature of a good review, I suppose. So that's been the only challenge. Everything else I said has been quite good. Energy levels have been great. I honestly have been unaffected. And just watching weight go down every day has been really good. Now, I mentioned in the earlier updates that initially kind of weight dropped off and then slowed right down as the time went on. And that stayed at that really steady. But initially, there was a lot of weight, but very little fat. And over time, the weight has been, since then, has been quite gradual. But then it seems to be lowering the fat percentage. So I can only assume that initial weight loss was because I was drinking more water, and so my body was retaining less water because there was more coming in it didn't need to. And so that was the initial drop. So, a huge percentage that will have been water. So my advice to you is definitely get past 5 days, because, your immediate weight loss that you're probably celebrating for is actually probably just water retention. So you've got to then soldier on and keep the rest going. Speaking of which, my plan is I'm going to keep doing this, actually, but not at 800. Because I've missed treats and things. I hadn't had breakfast cereal. I've been going for either my shakes, or occasionally I've had maybe poached eggs on some spinach, or poached eggs on bread with no butter, or toast with no butter, which is actually okay because it's yolk and it's not like it's dry. But I have missed cereal, I must admit, so I'm going to have some cereal. So I'm going to up it to 1,500 calories a day and just stick with that. I'm still not going to drink, not as a mission. I just probably won't because I don't know, maybe I'll change my mind at the weekend, but I just said I've not missed it, and it's a lot of calories to sacrifice. But yeah, I'm going to stick with the 1,500 calories, which is still obviously a calorie deficit. So my weight loss will continue, just at a slower rate, until I can get down to, I start off at, I think, 14 stone, 7.4 or 7.8, one of the two. And I want to get to 13.5, and I want to try and maintain it. My aim with this Fast 800 fortnight was to give that a kickstart and give myself a bit of a head start to getting down to that weight. And it's worked. To take you through the figures, so as I said, let me just bring up my Withings app. So I started on the 24th and was 14 stone, 7.8 pounds. And this morning I was 13 stone, 13.2 pounds, which is fab. I'm delighted with that. So that gives me, what's that, 8.6 pounds in 14 days, which is fantastic. I'm thrilled with that. The important one was the body fat percentage. So on the 24th, my body fat percentage was 29.7%, and as of this morning, it was 27.1. Still high, but to lose 2.8%, I'm really happy with. And it's, as I said, I'm on a road to be able to lose some more. Just keep going down that route. So all in all, really quite happy with that. I have also, one of my friends shared a link to a YouTube video with regards these smart scales, because I said I use Withings smart scales, and the way they work is on electric resistance thing. So they send a little bit of electricity basically up one leg and then down the other, and the amount of resistance tells you how much fat and water percentage and muscle and blah, 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 blah. And he quite correctly pointed out, as did the guy on the video, that electricity is lazy. It takes the shortest route. So if you're going up one leg and down the other, that's not taking your body fat percentage from the whole body. It's just literally taking it from your leg, your bum, and your leg. And I guess the rest is probably some clever formula that makes an approximation based on that for the rest of the body, which is better than nothing, I suppose, but I'm not sure I'm completely confident that I actually am 27% body fat. I'd like to maybe get that checked properly some other way. But the important thing is that it's dropped. So even just as a measure of progress, it's worth having for that. You know, in theory, my bum and legs are 2% lower fat than they were, which is great. But yeah, as a guide, the weight, obviously, that'll be right. The scales will do that bit. But the body fat percentage, I'm actually a little cynical about now. But as I said, as a measure of progress, spot on. So would I suggest you do it? 100%. If you got weight to lose, or if you just want to feel a little bit better about yourself, and maybe have a bit more energy, and definitely sleep better. I've slept brilliantly. Then you should do it. The fast 800 element, obviously the big part of that, rather than just eating 800 calories, because obviously a calorie deficit is, of course you're going to lose weight. But the fast element, I actually did have days where I said, I know at the start of this, I talked about trying to eat between, let's say, midday and 6. I stuck to it a bit, but not too much, to be fair. There was days where I was have a shake at 10 and then maybe not have an evening meal till 7 o'clock at night. I don't think it made a great deal of difference to my weight loss. Did my body go into that reparative mode? Logically, I guessed not. So I probably didn't get all the benefits of the fast element. What I became really focused on, and the more I've read since, the more I realise is a really important point, is the macros. Really focusing on the advice that people give if you want to maintain just kind of your body health and shape and well-being and muscle mass and whatnot, is to try and eat a gram of protein for every kilogram of you. And I'm got a clue in kilograms. Let's assume 80 or 90 as a target. So I've made sure that I've been eating at least 80 or 90 grams of protein every day. And that's felt really good. I think that's one of the reasons why I've not felt hungry, and also one of the reasons why I actually still feel pretty good. So I think the macro element I'm going to really continue to pay attention to. I think there's a lot of weight behind that. And speaking of which, I have quite enjoyed doing more fitness activity as well. I think I don't know if it's, I'm probably imagining it, but the protein element, the diet I've been eating, said I've just felt fitter and better and more keen to do things. It's been really, really good, really motivating. So obviously I showed you photographs earlier. So here are photographs of what I look like now. So this was taken this morning. And as you can see, if I put the two alongside each other, I think you can definitely see a difference, and I'm really proud of it, and I think I can definitely get better and better from here. The new book, by the way, by Michael Mosley, which is the Fast 800 Keto, which is reference to the ketosis that I mentioned earlier in the video. I must admit I haven't bought yet. I'm quite interested in buying, but the way he talks in that is about doing the 800 calories per day, keeping it to within that period, so the fasting elements are, say, between midday and 6. But the keto element is that he talks about really trimming the carbohydrates out of those 800 calories. So it's pretty much protein, a little bit of fat, tiny bit of carbohydrate to put your body into ketosis, which should, in theory, mean that you'll burn fat a little bit quicker. I mean, if you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose it anyway, but is it more effective? I don't know. I'm intrigued. I probably will buy the book and have a read of that as well, see what the studies say. But that could be a really useful way to go. And some of the diets that I've seen in the, some of the meals, that I've seen in the excerpts of the book that were in the paper, sound really good. So that's maybe something to consider as well. I think that new updated book could bring some beneficial insights. Right. Thanks guys, thanks for watching. I know it's a different kind of review to the tech reviews or Tesla reviews that I normally do, but hopefully you liked it. As I said, please do like the video below and please do subscribe. I've just hit 400, thank you so much, subscribers. Still aiming for 1,000, so every little click on the subscribe means a great deal to me and it does make a difference. So thanks again for your support, have a great day and good luck on your journey. See you soon, bye.